I'm obsessed with the notion of like, my time is not valuable than anybody else's. I really genuinely believe that. I don't know what to really say. Like, and then what ends, and I was always like that. Now I have the baggage of more people knowing who I am. That 20-minute email 10 years ago, non-event. Now, if one person thinks that I think my time's more valuable than theirs, that bothers me. Now, I'll be okay back to like not worrying about what people think, but like it bothers me. I'm a human being. We all have things that we like and bother, you know, and so even as something as small as the meta of that, so you can imagine when it's like, so anyway, that's the reference point of that. The longer you can hold your breath, the more likely you can play on price, which is always going to be a thing. For us, now year 13, I've been right a lot in the face of a lot of people thinking I was wrong. TikTok especially is fucking with everybody. I was so loud, so adamant in the face of such disagreement, and it's becoming such the factor that that's kind of like almost like it was the right thing at the right time, like 9 years in to bet the farm on how important it was gonna be and have such visceral response because it was so not clear. For it to then over-index in importance in such a short window, I think is really fucked with the establishment from the client side. The CMO's making decisions like, fuck, that was really right. We really bet against it. It's really hurt us. We need Gary.
Now they're taking on Google and Amazon and it's like, whoa, wait.
Attention, it's just attention.
Yeah.
Attention is always the battleground.
Yeah.
I remember when you got into TikTok and I got on TikTok. And my wife was giving me shit because I'm like, just, what are you on? I'm like,
she's like, why are you creeping on these 12-year-old dancing girls?
And then I'm like, I got off of it because I realized how strong it is. Like, you just kill time.
Oh yeah, like here's the fun part about me. I don't consume without purpose. My escapism is the Jets. Other than that, when I'm on it for an hour, I'm watching why. And I'm also breaking the algorithm. Like, I'll search random shit. Like, out of nowhere tomorrow, I'll just search pickles and consume 3 pickle videos. I'm trying to break the algorithm to give me serendipity, not give me what I am looking at. I don't need Jets videos in there. I need to like do what consumers are doing. So like literally out of nowhere, I'll just type in sweaters, hashtag, click, and then my For You page will evolve because I'm throwing it off. Because I'm using it for market research. I'm not a social media consumer, I'm a social media anthropologist and strategist, and then I'm a content creator. So I wasn't getting sucked into TikTok from a consumer standpoint, I was using it for insights and was understanding it was sucking everyone in. And then the other thing that happens is like be okay with like being in a 9-month cocoon and just like popping up and be like, fuck. And just being okay with that. Like I really do think, I do think the lack of judgment on oneself is a huge proxy.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I really believe in that one. I think it's what makes all my shit work, all of it. I just don't beat myself up when this day, this week, this hour, this month, this year was bad. By Monday morning quarterbacking if I did a good job.
Strategies for helping kids nowadays find what they're passionate about, because like education's there, it's still free, the information's free, whatever they want to learn they can access it, so I don't care.
Exposure.
Yeah, so.
It's all exposure.
It's just exposure.
It's exposure. And doing things with him, right? Like being like, let's go to this ping pong tournament together. Let's watch these YouTube, what I'm doing with Xander is like, let's watch these YouTube videos about other things besides sports because he's pot committed. Just like trying different shit.
Is that what happened for you? Like,
for me, it was, no. This is why I'm scared shit. I said it today. I'm scared shitless to be a proxy for people. I was on some different shit. I was like, this is why I use athletes and you know performers a lot. Like I was locked the fuck in at like 7. And with no dad telling me, with no mom telling me, with no TV telling me, with no culture team. Like I was like truly like purebred animal, right? Like why does a leopard know what to do? Why does like a fly, like it was just that. Which is why I was bad in school. By the time my natural abilities in math and reading, whatever, like by the time we got to 4th grade where I couldn't just coast by on like math came easy to me, basic math, right? It was over because I was already too late. I was already 3 years into this journey of like, so then it was like we need you to, I was like, you can't get the finger out of my ear. I was done. By the time I was 10, it was long, I was long, like I'm going to be a businessman.
You were locked into that.
I'm going to be a businessman.
Be businessman.
The word entrepreneur didn't exist. I want to spend every second selling stuff is actually what I used to say. It wasn't businessman yet. I want to spend every second of my life selling something. Lemonade, shoveling snow, and then when sports cards came a year later, it was fucking game over. Now it was a scalable item. It was like fucking, any hope of anything was gone. and then 3 years later, I'm in the liquor store, stocking shelves, selling wine. At 14, you know? And again, the stories I tell, that's why it's fun to have my friends from college. I had a couple of my friends from college, the gift code thing, like, people understand, like, when I'm like, I worked every weekend and every summer vacation, I know people don't fully believe me. But Brandon Warnicki knows, like, it was actually every minute. You know what I mean? It was actually. Dustin and I just walking in here right now. We just kind of had a funny moment because yesterday was a long day of meetings. You have to understand, like, I had 87 meetings today.
The way I like to run my business is very similar to you. Kind.
Yep.
You know, take care of the people.
Yep.
I made sure everybody that was left behind was taken care of, bigger bonuses, better healthcare, all these things to reward the employees. But then it's, how do you balance that from the numbers, from taking care of people? How do you make, you know, just running a business effectively?
At first, when you go to that move, which I did as well, you succumb to the concept of like making less money, right?
Then, because I raised everybody's salary 8%, took care of the big dogs, because I needed them to lean on them for
you needed stability.
Because I don't know what the fuck.
You did the right thing. That was
20 years old.
By the way, that was super smart.
Because I didn't want to lose them, so I gave
that was incredibly
my dad's salary and spread it against all the managers.
So smart.
And I didn't lose these people. 20-year-old VP, 15-year-old CM or GM, and then the search department managers. We've got 20 employees.
20 years experience, 15 years experience.
Yeah. So keeping these that was essential for me until I could figure out how to do with what I'm trying to do now. What
happened during the years you lost doing drug use? Like, who's running it?
The business.
They did.
Yeah. So the first thing I did, and I had the wherewithal to, hey, I want to, you know, we have all this money. I want to make sure y'all take care of. I've known y'all since I was a baby. One of them changed my diapers when I was a kid. Karen, my VP, and she's still there. Tino's still there. So rewarded them, took care of them, and every decision I made was from the heart, but not from a financial CFO perspective.
That's fine.
So now, when I look at payroll, that's up $500,000. You know, then look at all these health expenses.
Is the business profitable?
Yeah, it's still. We did $27 million last year.
Wow,
and
it's a big business.
Yeah, we're one of the largest roofing businesses in America.
Wow.
And we're just in Atlanta.
Wow.
But I want to expand it. I want to grow it. There's so much to that because we work with home builders. D.R. Horton, Lennar, Edward Andrews, Ashton Woods. These are our clients.
Got it. So you're a B2B2C client.
We're B2B.
Keep listening.
And that's the angle. So it's B2B. A lot of it's just we get the contract with the builders. It's usually best price. And you have to have some pretty good service.
Yep.
And your name stands for what you do, and reputation, word of mouth. Very little marketing because
you're in the B2B business.
I'm on LinkedIn because I'm posting content that they like, and they're like, oh wow, I like this guy. Who's
well,
I do a lot of community.
That is marketing.
I do a lot of community work, a lot of philanthropic stuff.
That's business.
I'm here right now.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the marketing.
Okay.
For me, my question is, I'm 26.
Yep.
You know, doing all the right things, healthy, focusing on the people, the community, taking care of the employees. At what point, you know, how do you start maximizing that and growing that
for growth of business?
Yeah, but also making sure you're doing the right thing, and not being too kind. And
well, there is no too kind.
Balance.
You'll appreciate this. There's no too kind. Meaning, every one of us here would make a subjective call on what your margin should be. Really. One could be like, hey, this is the industry standard, roofing companies make 33%, and they would be like, that's that. I'd be like, if that's true for me, I'd be like, if 33% is the right one, then the right answer is 23% because you're gonna have better retention because you care about your, like, you know.
Yeah.
So like, and neither is, like, I don't think mine's right. Because maybe you had all retention, you gave up 10% more. Like, it's not that it's right or wrong. So you don't have to worry about like the right or wrong of that. And it's also based on you, right? You know, today, you're okay with how much money you take home. At 35, you might decide you want more. You might decide you want less. So there is no right to that.
So the second punch to that is with the VP, the board. We have a board of directors that was established after Dad's passed, and so you're always working with different.
You established that, or that was written in?
Yeah.
Very interesting.
And so there's that dynamic of. Dad,
Was Dad liked, or because he was stern?
Well liked. Yeah.
Well liked.
Dad was very, very.
Well, yeah.
Giving away cars and vacations. Just everybody loved Dad. Always took care of people. Was a funny guy, but was hard because that's how he grew up. He ate shit for 25 years in roofing. He roofed, and before he died, we were roofing together. It was one of the coolest things me and Dad ever got to do. Was he took me into the field and showed me how to lay shingles, how to install shingles, how to cut metal.
Know the
how to do
craft.
flashes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I gave me a better appreciation for
Everything.
these guys.
Everything.
140-degree weather every fucking day, and respect it. But the thing I balance with is those are big shoes to fill at 26.
It's insane.
And it's also, so that's why I struggle is I'm doing this all for the first time.
Did when Dad died, did you get a lot of M&A offers?
I still do.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, a lot.
That's exactly right.
They're
Yeah.
appealing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you're getting 5 to 6 EBITDA, which is life-changing when you're
Yeah.
a $26 million business. But it's like, I really, it's the last thing I have with my dad.
You're gonna, that's like a pull it. You're like get you a little. It's a really where you have to be very careful is on that. You have to be very careful over the next 10 years to make sure that you're not unhappy because of the ideology of this is the last thing I have about Dad. You have to be very careful because I so understand what you just said. It like struck me all the way down my back, comma. What I'm scared for you out of love for you is if you don't love it, and you're holding on to the ideology of that, off the pain of such a very difficult thing to happen, especially compounded by what you shared with us of like being there and things of that nature, the watch out as a friend for you to really give thought to. Dad up there looking down, he wants a thing that's bigger, which is he doesn't want you to have to carry out the legacy, he wants you to be happy. And so you just need to really think about that along the way. You may love it,
I love what it allows me to do.
Makes sense.
I mean, I can be very charitable.
It gives you.
My friends work in the business.
Makes sense.
They actually do well.
Makes sense.
Because everyone says,
no, I get
don't
it.
hire friends, don't hire family.
I'm like the reverse.
I trust these people with my life.
Try to hire every friend I have.
And because I trust them, I can.
100%, it's fam. So I think the question becomes, if you sell the business and have that lump sum of dollars and are able to build a business around what turns you on, you could still have those 5 friends. Because the business is big enough to be able to afford that for a while. So like, that's the thing I think you need to think about.
Yep.
There's a lot there.
I do enjoy the business though.
I believe you. The question becomes is, do you just enjoy business?
You don't want to risk resenting your dad to help save his legacy.
Because what you said is sometimes you have those bad
And he
days.
won't resent Dad because Dad doesn't exist. He'll resent himself, which is which is really fucked up. The only time I'm pissed is when I'm disappointed in myself.
No, it makes it totally
It's
makes sense.
literally the only time that I'm triggered, the concept of triggered, truly, is when I'm actually disappointed in myself. I'm never triggered by someone else, like most people. It's only me, and that's what I'm even more scared of. He won't resent Dad. Dad's not here. He's gonna resent himself. On the idea of, I understand what you're saying.
I just want to say something real quick to them.
Please.
Just know that your dad is not the business. That sometimes there is a time to let go and know you still have the memories of that person in you. That the business is still, it's not a live thing. You're not giving him up. You're not abandoning your dad. If you get to a point where you have to say.
Have any of those senior people offered to buy the business?
No. The thing I struggle with too is last year was our biggest year.
Why?
So, just growth.
Why? Go as humble as possible. Macroeconomic situations, go as humble as possible because it's important. Why?
So I went and brought out, there's a company called Rockland Homes. It's one of the largest
I know it.
businesses we didn't even know about. And I went and got them from just nonstop, going after them, making friends, eventually getting birthday dinner, bought the dinner, got invited to the penthouse with the owner. Had a heart-to-heart with him. We talked about my dad dying. His son, unfortunately, committed suicide.
Jesus, you guys connected.
And then cried together, and then he's like, I want you in my office Wednesday. And that was a $4 million deal. And one big deal like that can change your whole business.
Of course.
And give you a great partnership. We do 100% of their roofs. And so just things like that, on Ashton Woods, just brought some energy to it, tried to help out. We fired a few people that weren't getting it done.
Right,
Hired
so,
my friends.
I mean, look, if you're talking about, like, you know, all that data gets me into like, oh, you got dad's DNA and you should just be operating and like,
I enjoy it. I'm competitive. I love it.
I'll be honest with you, the reason I'm giving you the advice of like, do you need, like one thing that I've had to realize is like, I would like running any business.
Yeah.
You know, I just love the game, right? And so like, you know, the thing that I have to be more, what I'm trying to be more thoughtful of in these next 40 years is like, all right, if that's true, if I add anything to my repertoire, I should probably like really love the fucking shit out of it, or it's the best use of my time as a good, it's like the best business on earth, best margins, yeah, well that will always happen.
Yeah.
But I think these things are always like a decade or 15 years when you're like a serious person. And so, you know, look, I mean, honestly, like hearing that data set from you, like it's pretty cool. Like, you know, I think you just kind of keep rolling. The only reason that everybody follows me blindly is because of the 6 times that nobody agreed with me and I was right.
That's really annoying.
So this is time track record.
Prior to that,
I'm stealing the Supreme Court thing. I love that so much.
the Supreme Court thing really works for me because we have such a big company now and people are equals in certain scenarios and they waste so much time and I have such a good culture. It's actually the reverse. At first, the concept was made so that politics wouldn't fuck up the place. Like you two are equals on a decision and you start fucking out politicking each other. We got the culture so fucking right now, you'll never believe why it's important now. Speed. They both know that they can't fuck each other up because I'm sitting over here watching and you can't do that here. So they dance for 5 months and don't do shit because they still don't agree. So now I need the Supreme Court to get shit done, not to save from politics. It's wild. I built the Supreme Court to not create political warfare. Now I'm using it for speed. Because they're both trying to be out empathetic to each other, but then they're sitting and crippled and doing nothing. I'm like, it was like funny how good the Supreme Court thing has been for 2 things. The first one was clear to me. The second one evolved after we really got our culture super right.
Yeah, the funny thing with you is like you listen to like everything you've done long enough. At some point, you're gonna realize like, just do what he says to do. Like,
Well, that
was with me and Lucas. I don't know what you did before that. And I'm like, he's wrong. I'm not gonna do it. You said do this thing. And I'm like, screw it.
Luca rookie cards.
Yeah.
You bought them too late.
I bought him at like.
When I first started yelling, you know, when I first started posting, they were $35.
Were they?
They were 30.
I caught
Thank you, Dust. They were 35. Dust doesn't react often. He must remember. They were 35
But I got
bucks.
Top Shot because of you.
Nice.
But yeah, that was the thing. It was Lucas, and someone said if I have like $1,000, what should I buy? And you said buy 4 Lucas.
Yeah.
And I'm like, screw it. I'm gonna buy 8. And I'm like, and that's where this whole thing came from. Because at that point they were on the way up, and I'm like, okay, fine. I won. Here's some money.
It's really, really fun because I'm petrified. I studied sports cards for 8. That was probably, of all the calls, the scariest one. Because even when I'm so scared to be wrong that I won't say anything unless it already happened. That's the part that I most enjoy. I haven't predicted shit. I'm just so fast at observing things, and now I have the platform. If I'm loud, at scale, and fast, it feels like it, but it isn't it. And so, sports cards though, I sat on an extra 6 months on some real, am I forcing this because I loved it?
Yeah.
Like everything was there, but I'm like, no, this is my subconscious bias. I'm fucking with myself because I want cards to be back and like, you know, because I loved them once when I was a kid, and so
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
exactly. And so I was very, very concerned that was going to be the one. But then at some point, I'm like, this is just too obvious.
Yeah, you were selling Giannis's on Instagram the one day, and I bought one from you.
For $285, it's Giannis.
Be honest, man.
It's an inside joke for me and my
Oh, okay,
friends.
good.
That's why I say it.
Crazy thing is,
I've been saying Giannis longer
I'm a
now.
Bucks fan,
Yeah.
so you guys are driving
crazy
me
thing is,
crazy.
I gave it back to you. I gave it back to you.
Is that right?
I gave it to
When we,
at the empathy wine.
Yep.
I gave it to Andy to give to you.
Yep.
I said, I'm like,
Yep.
you'll have more fun with this than I
Yep.
will. And then I'm like, oh, that was a bad call.
It was all the struggles on physical cards that got me into NFTs. I didn't even know that was a thing, but it was like, oh, I have to store this, it's perishable.
You know what mine was?
I have to ship
People
it,
making up
email.
shit about me, trying to tarnish my name.
Oh, the counterfeit?
Yeah, no, I don't even know what that is, but please don't, like, no, more like Gary pumps and dumps.
Oh.
Like,
That was a big thing in NFTs for a long time.
that one was easy though. The reason that doesn't have any weight is you can see all my activity. You know, that didn't scare me. The cards thing does, because you don't, like with NFTs, I can prove it. With cards, like, what am I gonna spend all my time, how do you prove it?
Over the ball.
So that really, I mean, that's where like people don't get it. Like, that's where negativity always loses. Like I brought so much to the card industry, and then negativity just makes you not want to be a part of it. Like, I'm kind of like, I don't need anything. I don't need the cards, I don't need NFTs, I don't need anything. So I'm happy to bounce to the next thing.
You're separating your name from the companies that because you somehow do it, even though you're the
Thank you
face
so
of the
much.
company, you somehow separate it.
I do,
How?
by upfront candor. First interaction, Nestle. Before we go anywhere, you will never see me again. I'm the operating CEO of this company, I don't run your account.
Well, that's
it.
the answer I needed.
Yep, upfront, because I'm not, you know, and you're gonna like this. This will, even the way you just responded makes me with the follow-up. I'd rather not have it, because I'm gonna lose it anyway, because I'm gonna under-deliver on their expectation, and I'd rather not do it for the sale, because it's gonna be a bigger headache. The revenue's not worth it. I'm gonna lose the revenue, I'm gonna net lose.
When did you make that decision though? When did you
Intuitively right away. Intuitively right away. I was also not the person I am today when we started VaynerMedia. I had a little something going on. Twitter, I was a G. I was doing some stuff in social, but like corporate America was like, who the fuck is this wine dude?
But did you depend on it financially for the company to succeed, or did it give you the freedom to be able to say,
I was living within the means of $80,000 a year. The thing that I'm keep pounding is like, live within your means, you'll never be vulnerable. Right, a lot of us have come from like listening to like the places we come from and like just kind of living, like obviously some of us not, but like, I don't know, like if you make $47,000 a year, you can live without debt. You just have to live a $47,000 a year lifestyle. The problem is when people make $47,000 a year with credit cards and the American way, they live $80,000 lifestyles. And so like, to me, why I was always dangerous when I was building Vayner was I was making no money, but I was paying rent for my apartment and I didn't spend money on almost anything else. Yeah. So that's what keeps you strong in those scenarios. Humans are animals. Automation is always a vulnerability. Keep that in mind. The other part is when you do it, you're getting especially when you're posting something and you're getting the feedback, you're getting insights. So I think there's nothing wrong with it, but like it won't come, like if you have a purpose against it, which is to create something that has a connection that might lead to awareness to what you're doing, the automation works against you. That's why I don't do it. You're not getting what you want from it. You think so because you're not, like, it's so funny, you'll appreciate this. If you spend 6 cents on something and you don't get the dollar back for it, you didn't accomplish the goal. You just wasted 6 cents. People think automation's winning for them, it's losing for them. It might cost me 39 cents in theory to do it non-automated, but I get the dollar. That's where, that framework is why a lot of automation's not working, because people can sense it. So that's the thing you gotta watch out for.
about that balance in it? And so it's better for me to
Post less.
and have a frequency
yeah.
of a big
You got it, you got it.
Did you see
My team agrees with me.
I mean, you're going to do the same amount of work to go plan it somewhere else to have it published, right?
No, holy shit. I didn't see this one.
You're going to have to put in the weight of this.
I also love the song.
My wife was super pissed.
Did you set all this up?
I don't have to
Oh, you gotta send me this. Did you post it on social? Send me that one, I didn't see this one. Email me the link to
The thing
it.
is, I want to see how like the thing works. Like, you would go on social to see how it works. I don't tag you people when I post things.
Yeah,
Like I get a creative idea like once a year, and like I have it in my head. I'm like, this is gonna be cool. There's a song, I can make it work.
That's awesome.
My wife did the video, and I'm like, did I do this right? She's like, no, change it. And I'm like, I'm not gonna tag anybody. And I didn't tag anybody. And I sent it to Bob, and Bob sent it to Andy. Then Andy retweeted it.
That's cool. Bob's the best. Bob's such a good dude.
I haven't talked to him in a while.
Such a good dude.
On the Westbrook topic.
Yeah.
yesterday,
Yeah, that was interesting.
That was.
I had a lot of passion. It was crazy. I literally on props.
Hard on the fans.
Well, it was on props. It's gonna be on props and drops. It's gonna come out Thursday.
Oh, I'm looking forward to
I'm
that.
very upset about it.
Yeah. But do you think he's, because here's my take on it. There's a little bit of a lack, and maybe it's they're feeding on each other. The way people are acting, he's not able to hold himself accountable in moments where he's not doing, he's not making the right calls. But not
Yeah,
plays.
I think
he's not owning the fact that
It always takes two to tango.
Totally. But they're feeding each
But
other, right?
you know how like the punishment doesn't fit the crime?
Totally.
That.
That.
Okay.
All right, I'm buying that.
And it also has become meme-ification. Like a lot of people don't do a good job with it.
Right. I mean, it's the job. He gets paid a lot. It's like he gets.
It has nothing to do with a person like yelling and spitting at him and like
No,
like,
that's uncalled. I'm with that.
Like,
But,
by the way, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like like I know he gets paid a lot. The fuck does that have to do with Charlie from Burbank sitting in row 7?
I mean,
Zero.
That's definitely like.
You know what I mean?
That's the extreme of that. I would say like everybody kind of beating on him is that he's taking that Charlie moment and then he's just not like owning the fact that he's just not having like a good run right now.
Yes.
And LA, you gotta deeply dive into it. You gotta say, I deeply own it, and like go way. You gotta get dramatic with it in LA, and they don't. Like,
I mean, that team is so broken in so many different ways.
Kind of like the Bucks right now.
Are the Bucks not playing well?
No, the Bucks are playing.
Bucks beat the Nets last night.
The Bucks are
No, I was
playing.
talking about the
Oh, different
Tom Brady
Bucks.
Bucks.
Oh, what's the
was
score of the
like the
game?
Milwaukee Bucks
What's
and
going on with the
Bucks
score right now?
matter.
I'd really like them to get their shit together and beat the Ravens tonight.
What's your opinion on StockX and the collectibles?
I don't really watch it very carefully.
Mm-hmm.
You mean outside of sneakers?
Outside sneakers.
That it's probably a fun, like, first
The
hot.
accuracy of the pricing.
I have no idea.
It's $10
I didn't find
$3
it.
bucks.
I didn't
around.
find it that. accurate.
Unfortunately, there's a little bit of market making happening in the background, I think.
Got it.
So unfortunately,
Got it.
when we were talking about that earlier, it's really affecting different industries. It affects ours to a degree. So I was curious what your opinion is.
Yeah, I don't look close enough to give you the, I love the good I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I just haven't done the work. But it's so funny to me that people, this is what pisses me off at times when people want to make up shit about me. The thought that somebody would compromise their reputation for any short-term financial gain blows my mind. Where I get really crazy is when people like think I'm doing something wrong for like $4,000. And he pumped and dumped that. I'm like, dude, like, I once turned down an opportunity in China for $30 million because I thought it would compromise me for a day. An infomercial, MLM kind of like bullshit thing.
Yeah.
30 million for a day. Yeah, I'm gonna buy an NFT, tweet about it, and sell it, and make $17,000. Like, people are so silly. It drives me crazy.
But if you do that
I know you
1,000
pumped and
times-
dumped Zion. So I'm like, no, you don't, because it didn't happen. So that's what drives me. That's where people are very not thoughtful when they don't know.
They're how do you, because you're there, you're listening, but like how does that not wear on you? Like I just,
Because I'm detached. Yeah, I'm really detached.
Over time, did that
It's
happen?
why I think my strength is humility. I'm detached from the accolades.
Okay.
The accolades are harder to be detached from than the negative.
how do you manage being detached in a business and then being attached in your personal life?
I treat them very similarly. I'm very good at not having expectations, which doesn't mean that I don't hold people to standards, right? I just really understand the human. It's what I'm great at. So like in my personal life, in my professional life, like I have a lot of compassion, a lot of empathy. I understand why people do shit that doesn't make me happy. It's never confusing to me. I've never been confused by one's behavior. And the more I get to know someone, the more, you know, even in a dinner like this, you give me a couple data points, I'm like, New Orleans, da, 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 da. It's just very easy for me to put the patterns together. So in my personal life, I have so much information that I'm not disappointed. In my public life, these are people that have no idea who the fuck I am, casting judgment on me. Right. How could I possibly value their opinion? I've never spent a minute with them in my life. So it's just very easy to, like, you know?
When I'm doing an objective analysis like that, I have a hard time engaging those folks. So I'm like third party. Are you able to like emotionally attach a human being in front of you when you're analyzing them?
One more time, I want to make sure I understood that question.
So, like if you're empathizing with somebody, it usually takes stepping away from the situation, so detaching yourself, but then empathizing with them and being attached. Like, how do you, I usually detach myself. If I'm gonna be empathetic with somebody, I detach myself to like, this is a person, I look at this, I see. Of my shoes.
Oh, you'll appreciate that. I got something very weird for you on that. I'm fully detached, yet can basically feel everything they're thinking. I always say to my friends, one of the things that we always laugh about is, I've always had this saying, I've been saying it since I was like 18, I'm like, I'm the least trickable person on earth. I've never been stunned by somebody. Elijah Moore confused me a little bit recently. But, you know, like in real life, I just have too much sixth sense. This is why I believe in weird shit, because I don't understand why that is. That's the luck of the draw. I'll give you a good one that I think you guys would like. When people are trying to manipulate me for their own personal gain inside of my company because they just started and they have no idea that I'm completely untrickable, it's like my favorite meeting because I'm like laughing without showing it. I'm like, my brain's like, do you really think, back to like, you were in that circle, like all the comments in Discord of what I should do with VeeFriends. Gary should, as if we don't think about that. As if I'm not running this business. Yeah. Like as if, you know, so, you know, that's how I do it. I'm detached. When you don't have expectations, but you have intuition to why, it's all about understanding, like, humans only do like 7, 10, 15 things. We all do the same shit in just different versions, right? And so there's not that many different things that are going on. First of all, there's only 2 things going on. Confident, insecure. There's only 2 things that are actually going on. And then you just start breaking down, everything else is like makeup. They're nuances.
The thing for me is like, consider myself an empath, but I'm trying to figure out where that balance is to not be like, put all my emotion in, like feeling all the emotion, but not to the point that, you know, I lose myself or what you're really doing based on the way you painted it, is, or what you don't want to do is be the enabler of the bad behavior. Yeah. That's the danger of being too empathetic.
Imposter syndrome, you have moments, like I have moments of massive imposter syndrome, and then the next day I feel like a baby. Like my wife has to deal with me, like literally sometimes like just hyper delusion myself, and then like the next day I'm like, I'm a piece of shit.
I respect the shit out of that. I think imposter syndrome is a 2023 word that is disguised for saying insecure.
Hyper insecure.
Yeah, so like to me, like imposter syndrome is like the way we've like packaged up insecurity to be palpable in like a modern world, which is great and fine and good, but it doesn't solve the root cause. Rebranding it to imposter syndrome is actually allowing people to sit on it a little longer. Like when you say imposter syndrome, for all of us sitting here, it's like, If you're like insecure, it's like, it's more aggressive. It's like, and so like I actually want to rebrand imposter syndrome back to insecurity, because then it allows us to actually address it.
Taking action.
Isn't that right?
That was the question I asked.
Interesting, right? It's really interesting to me.
Yeah.
It must have crossed my mind 15 times today. It's a lot. Let me say the number again. I'm going to give you the number. I bet you it's more, maybe more. How excited I am for Sunday.
Really?
Yeah. Having something to look forward to. Think about Christmas. Think about your birthday. You know, like there's other things. Like having something to look forward to is an incredible gift for human beings. That's why a lot of people really look forward to that day of worship, that day where they recenter themselves. It's why I also love people who love the craft of doing something. I'll give you an example. You might find this interesting. If you ask me to mow the grass right now, I would give you $1 million in exchange to not. But when I'm garage sailing and I watch people mowing the lawn, I know for the far majority of those people, that is like, they love it.
Oh yeah.
Right? They get the, you know, like don't bother. Like I just know so many people in my life. Wash the car, right? Like my time to myself, get a nice cold beer, nobody bother me, I'll put on the music I want, this is my hour, right? Like I get that. Like it's really interesting to me what people get joy out of. Usually it's a form of escapism. It's why I understand concerts, movies, music, all things that I'm kind of like very chill about. Like don't really overly care about any of those cliche things. Golf, skiing, sailing, cooking, cleaning the house. Just mentioned a bunch of shit I could give a fuck about. Things that people adore. For me, it's like that football Sunday is just like everything. Because I'll tell you why. In those hours, all my stresses are gone. I have no energy for anything but that. Everything else I do, including right this second, look how many times I've looked at my phone. I'm always on.
Yeah.
I have to be.
Yeah.
There's emergencies, there's problems. It's the only time I don't look at my phone. I'm like sleeping and thinking about, is there a fire in Singapore? Because they're active.
Right.
This is what? No, that's cool. That's what's cool. It's not a stress, but it's a knowledge of. Does that make sense? It's not a stress.
How much of your day do you spend actually stressed? Because you don't seem like stressed.
Almost none. None.
Yeah.
Professionally, none. If I'm stressed, it's because like I'm more stressed that I'm going to the dentist tomorrow for the first time in 3 years and I have a feeling a lot of bad shit's going on than like any like work thing. But when the Jets are on, it's just gone quiet. Like I'm so so into it. I'm so happy with this season. It's such a blessing.
I was happy they're winning because then you would be in a better mood.
Exactly. My employees more. Those Mondays are weird.
I do love it when the new people who follow you get to a football season. They're like, "What's wrong with Gary?" I'm like, "This is just football season. It's
You
okay."
nailed it. You nailed it.
This is just let it go.
It's so
fine.
true.
Gary's fine.
It's so
Fine.
true. Anybody who just gets in between the end of the season and the beginning of the new season are completely confused because it's like 9 months of like rainbows and I wish your family everything and like, and then fucking ass. What?
It's like fuck everything.
It's so true. It's so true. So why I think I was so attached to Star Wars. I think Star Wars really has it figured out. If anybody wrote the movie that most captures my thesis, it's Star Wars. It's a very simple game, which is the most interesting part, which is the two ways to achieve incredible success is extreme confidence and extreme insecurity. Extreme insecurity creates enormous amounts of success, money, fame,
Right.
but that person ends up dying very lonely and unhappy in their soul. Whereas the other one ends up the reverse. Darth Vader. Super close, fine line.
Yeah. Interesting.
Me too, I've always been attached to that story.
I have to face it. We talked
I remember.
before too. Yeah.
I really think about that a lot. I thought about making VaynerMedia's 800 New York City employees work on a first floor that was open to the public. That's why I tested 137 that way.
Wow.
Like there were issues with it. Like
There's always issues, of course. That, like, think about what I just said, that's insane.
I'm like, but man, attention.
Well, that's where my brain, that's why we did it, because it was based on the bigger thesis. And I'm always like, everybody will immediately react with what isn't good about it, but I think you can mitigate that, and then you get all the things that are good about it. Like just, there's so much serendipity, culture, interest,
You know, like I
business development, learnings, friendships,
That's where I learned.
uniqueness, awareness. I mean, that could be national news.
That's where I learned that I had a vibe.
That's cool.